Hi, this is PT Pop here tonight, and I'm going to ramble on just like Led Zeppelin. No, I'm going to ramble on about the corporate world. Now, you're saying to me, why should I listen to you about the corporate world? Well, I have been working in the corporate world since 1990. 26 years of corporate madness. I worked in telecommunications for about 15 of those 26 years, and the rest of the time I have had a variety of jobs in finance, including banking and fundraising. I had my first job in the corporate world in 1990, many years ago, and I'm still recovering. This is my latest shirt. You're Killing Me, Smalls. One of my most favorite movies, Sandlot. Sandlot reminds me of a time, simpler time, when I was 10 years old and my friends and I would play baseball. I know there's a lot of you out there that didn't go to college. And I know a lot of guys I've met and gals I've met have second-guessed themselves because they didn't go out and get a degree and they didn't go get the big corporate job, and they're working at the local five and dime or the grocery store, and they're like, I wonder if I should have got my degree. You do not need to work in the corporate world. I have worked in the corporate world. I worked in the corporate world steadily from 1990 until 2006, I believe it was. When I worked in the corporate world, the beginning of each and every day, as I exited my car, I started to walk towards the building that I worked in. I felt like it was that scene in the movie The Exorcist where the priest is walking towards the house, shrouded in fog. The little girl's house, Reagan, the little girl's house that was possessed, the little girl that was possessed. But I felt like I was the priest with a fedora and the trench coat, shrouded in fog and darkness and ominousness, walking into the house as he's about to try to attempt to exorcise the demon or the demons from the little girl. Every single freaking morning was like that, and it was horrific. And it's the same scene as the poster for the movie The Exorcist. There was a feeling of dread, there was a feeling of anxiety. Once you cross the threshold of a corporation's doorway, or you cross through the threshold of the building you work in for the company you work for, you literally forfeit all the freedoms that you have gained as an American citizen. You are told how to dress. You're told how to speak. You're told when to speak. You're told where to sit, how to sit. When to go to lunch, when to come back from lunch, when to come in, when to go home, when to eat. In some places, they tell you what you can eat. They have health plans now. They tell you, it's fun, it's a campus. Woohoo. Most places say now that they have a tobacco-free campus. It's fun, it's a campus. Woohoo. It's all called a campus now. It's a corporate campus. It's fun, it's a campus. Woohoo. It's fun, it's a campus. Woohoo. And it's the beer in the pot. So you're told, you're told how to live your life. You're told how you can live your life. If you can smoke, they have random drug testing. They're told what you can do in your recreational life. And God forbid if you have a Facebook page or a YouTube page. God forbid if you say anything out of the ordinary, because you'll be walked into HR. Think of HR as the guard dogs for the corporation. They are there to protect the white guy, predominantly white men and women at the top of the company, from being sued and put out of business. They are there to protect. They're kind of like the force field around the Starship Enterprise. They are there to protect the company. They're not to protect you. They will deny this, and if there's somebody from HR out there saying, oh, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, do not go to HR unless you have everything documented. Make sure you have it all completely written down. Have emails, saved emails. Make sure you have it on videotape. Make sure you have audio tape. Make sure you have your ass covered. Because what will happen then, if you go into HR and you have your ass covered, they can do nothing but try to protect the company from that point forward from being sued, and they will pursue the person that you have an issue with. If you have nothing, they're just going to laugh at you. They're just going to be like, why are you saying this? You have nothing to prove it. They tell you when to leave. They tell you when to come in. They tell you how much they're going to pay you. They tell you what your benefits are. They tell you what. Now you have a 401k. I remember when I first got to college, I had no idea what a 401k was. Like, where have you been, son? You're just out of college, aren't you? We don't have pensions anymore. Nobody has pensions. The corporate world is an odd place because it's much like a weird, giant, demented fraternity. Because in the corporate world, behind closed doors, there's drug use, there's alcoholism, there's sexism, there's racism, there's cheating on your spouse, and it's all celebrated. It's the funniest thing. You know, if you're one of the guys and you drink and you go out with the guys to BW3s and you have some wings and some beer, you get to cheat on your wife behind her back, or your husband, or whatever you happen to be. I had a boss named Dave. Dave was very odd. He would walk by. He'd go out to. There was like a deli in the basement of our building. In the basement of our building. I must enunciate. Dave would go to the deli in the basement of our building. He'd get a sandwich, and he'd come back to the office that we worked in. He'd walk past my cubicle, and he'd say, "Pete, look at me. I've got it ham and cheese on rye." And then he'd walk away and go to his office. "Today it's salami on Swiss with, pumpernickel bread." 10 o'clock every day, Dave just happened to have a meeting with Tracy. And Tracy was like half his age. She was a former gymnast, so she had very strong legs, and she was very short and like a stout. She was like a little fire plug of a girl. And she had the personality match, and she just marched around the office like a little fire plug. "Hey, I'm Tracy, and I'm a little fire plug." And every day at 10, for some reason, the two of them would have a meeting in Dave's office behind closed doors. So anyway, Dave and Tracy would go into Dave's office at 10 a.m. every morning and close the door. And they'd stay in there until 11. One of my coworkers came up to me, a female, and she's like, leaning on my cubicle wall, she's like, "I can't stand it anymore." I'm like, "Well, what's wrong?" She's like, "Well, didn't you notice that Dave and Tracy go into his office every morning at 10 to have a meeting?" I said, "Yeah." "Pete, there's nothing to meet about. There's nothing on the agenda. There's nothing on the schedule. We don't have any meeting scheduled with any major companies or clients for weeks. Pete, what do you think they're doing in there from 10 to 11 every morning?" I went, "Oh, Dave and Tracy were doing the magic mambo." It gets real creepy in the corporate world. It probably does in the factories. I worked in the factory for a couple of years too, and that was wild, but it wasn't expected to be structured and organized and professional. It was expected to be a factory environment, so I just took it as it came there. This guy Dave now works for the CIA, not the Cleveland Institute of Art, the Central Intelligence Agency. If you drink with the boys, if you play golf, if you can talk a good line of bullshit, you got it made in the corporate world. The other thing you have to do in the corporate world is you have to learn how to talk and respond in corporate talk. It's just Bill Clinton, they'd say, "Is it true you had sexual relations with Miss Lewinsky?" And he'd say, "Well, it depends on what your definition of is." That's just how they talk in the corporate world. That's not just Washington, D.C. You have to learn to say something without saying anything at all. You have to learn how to talk. You have to have a level head. You can't get upset. You can't let anybody get under your skin. You have to be able to let things roll off your back. If you've got a really good memory, if you know how to deal with people without getting upset, if you can handle pressure without freaking out, and if you can enjoy your environment by taking advantage of the people around you, you are a shoo-in. You're not missing anything. I mean, you might be missing quite a bit of money, but the amount of mental wear and tear it takes on your soul and your brain and your body isn't worth it.